a special welcome to my friend and our partner in hosting this event, Dr. Ahmed El-Hamli, who is the founder of Trends in Abu Dhabi.
There is no doubt the agreement with Iran is necessary as part of the security framework regionally and globally.
But when we look at Iran, I think fundamentally we see that you have a deal that's, in a sense, kicked the can down the road.
If all we're talking about is sanctions provisions inside the deal, sanctions on the Hill, which is exactly sort of what's on the table, we will never get at either a strategy or leverage on Iran.
There's a long history of mistrust, and overcoming that mistrust is going to take a very long time, and it's not going to be solved by a nuclear agreement.
To make a new deal, sanctions would be helpful in persuading Iran, but the Trump administration would have to also be willing to give something.
The deal does not settle the basic question, does Iran have a secret nuclear weapons program, either now, in the future, or in the past? There were two conditions put in the deal to try to deal with this. One is the additional protocol. The second is to ban certain types of nuclear weaponization activities that make it harder for Iran to work on the sort of the development of nuclear weapons. Those are not verified now. You need to go to military sites. That's where those activities would take place. And you can't go to military sites under the current deal. The IAEA has a tough time going to those places. They have a right to go there under the traditional safeguards agreement reinforced by the additional protocol, but it's not going very well.
Even if you fundamentally disagree with someone, it's better to talk to them than for them to think that you're going to be doing things to them without engaging them.
Has their behavior been significantly different than it was before the deal? And I would argue no.
I understand that Iran does have elections, and from the Western view, this gives opportunities to hope that things may change. But the entrenchment of the supreme leader, his supporters, including military, is backed by the current constitution of Iran and unlikely to change.
Iran has been harassing U.S. ships in the Gulf more than it was before. Iran has been supplying more support to Houthi rebels in Yemen than it was before.
Khomeini created this system in 1979, and it persists today, regardless of what political elites in Iran may claim. In this system of governance, Iran has been exploiting sectarian differences in Islam, leading to conflict and insecurity. The constitution of Iran is based on Wilayat al-Faqih, and Iran has publicly spoken on implementing this form of governance in other states in the region, in particular in Iraq.
Russia's not going to want us to simply rip up this deal. They're one of our negotiating partners, and this deal is important to them.
If the president-elect goes about tearing up executive agreements, which is something that members of Congress might think is sort of an internecine issue. You know, the president keeps doing things, we never get involved, let's tear up those executive agreements. If that happens, he's pretty much debasing the currency of the presidency, because why would the P5+1 in any similar endeavor spend years negotiating something if they thought that whatever the paper it was written on would not be valued in Washington because it's an executive agreement?
The first thing that Trump would do is reactivate that policy. That yes, if you want to build up your program, just know we're watching. You cross a certain line that we define, then you're going to be subjected to military strikes. And then, and I think in this, what we learned prior to the negotiation of the deal is Iran is very hesitant to cross that line.
You may be surprised to find this. I don't think that military options have any role here for the United States. I think strategy and coherence and unity in Washington would give us credibility. And I think the Europeans could then engage in a conversation with us about the strategy of this regime and to make them decide, are you going to live by international norms in some way, shape, or measure, or are you going to live at peace with your Arab neighbors? And start testing the proposition. And I think that our strongest weapon, frankly, is information.
If the U.S. is serious about security in the region, it must work more closely with its regional allies who live with Iran day to day. Iran must be kept not only to the spirit of the agreement, but to the letter. We have signed an international legal treaty. It should be treated as such where the details matter. We must keep in mind that Iran remains a state supporter for terrorism. Iran's support is not covered in any way. It is open and explicit. This must change if Iran is serious about bringing security to the region.